What you got there, bro? Oh, we on. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wa mursaleen. Sayyidina wa habibina al-Mustafa. Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsani ila yawm ad-din. We'd like to welcome you all to tonight's rendition of the Black Imams Roundtable. I'm Imam Faheem, aka Imam of the Boom Bap. I got my fellow Imam, my brother, my comrade, my partner, my ride or die, Imam Naeem Abdullah of Masjid in Pittsburgh, alhamdulillah. And we're here to we're here to rock with y'all, Our esteemed Sheikh, Imam Amin, is running a little late, so just give him some time. He'll be in, inshallah. And we'll just continue without him. The show must go on. All right. So how's everyone feeling tonight? Thank you for tuning in, inshallah. We appreciate your time that you spend with us, inshallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it a very beneficial gathering tonight, inshallah, and that He will accept this effort from us. I mean, alhamdulillah. So I'm thinking, where should we start, Imam Naeem?
Alhamdulillah. Today our intention was to cover a little bit more about the technical aspects of marriage, like the prerequisites and the pillars and those type of things. So and we also wanted to specifically, get a little bit more detail with regards to those things, especially with regards to the Shafi and the Maliki school. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. Before we get into that, I want to remind us of, the cover fee, inshallah. As you know, we all request that we should pay a minimum of $10 a piece. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. So, we're still trying to build something, inshallah, so we can do something. So we request that, make a donation, inshallah, to Allah, and help us to continue to do the work that we do. This stuff it takes effort, it takes time, it takes research, inshallah. And so we appreciate you. You can, for the people that we have on, we really appreciate it, mashallah. So after that, I want to, before we get into all of these details, just to rewind a little bit for the Thursday night rendition that we had, the special Black Imams Roundtable we had. By a show of yes or no's, how many of you attended that session last Thursday? Just type it. If you attended, just type yes or Y, or if you didn't attend, just type no or N. Yeah, Imam Amin is going to have a late fee. We're going to charge him up, inshallah. Delinquent. Mashallah. All right. Okay, alhamdulillah. So I just wanted to, it started getting kind of intense. And so I kind of left. I had to leave the show for, I had another engagement. And I just kind of saw what was going on. Because it wasn't really the Black Imams Roundtable. It was the Imam Amin versus Farouk showdown, mashallah. So, we had it out a little bit, and we kind of clarified what our positions were, and he had some explanations. And I didn't get to hear all of the stuff they talked about. I heard some of it, and I tried to go back and watch some of the comments, but it was very interesting, to say the least. So hopefully it was some benefit for people. You can see a replay, Sister Shamir. You could go onto the Masjid Muhammad's Facebook page or on the YouTube page, and all of these are recorded that you can go back and check, inshallah. They say Imam Amin won. So it was like a battle between Prince and Michael Jackson. Imam Amin was Prince, huh?
Now, some of the brothers, a lot of the brothers say that Farouk won.
Oh wow! Okay,
And some of them were saying that me and you turned state's evidence against Imam Amin.
I heard that before I signed off. You know, yeah, mashallah. Well, maybe they need a rematch, you know, Rumble in the Jungle, Thriller Manila type of thing. Mashallah. But it was very informative. It was good to see different perspectives. And, you know, this is one of the trademarks of this show, that we all have different perspectives. And, you know, we bring them together and we keep the harmony, inshallah. And we do appreciate the, you know, the concerns of our audience, you know, whatever thing that they have to say. So we always welcome to invite people onto the show to give different perspectives. And, you know, Brother Farouk, alhamdulillah, he has some interesting viewpoints, you know, good, bad, or indifferent. Alhamdulillah, we was glad to have him on. You know, he was sharp dressed, you know what I mean? He was dressed for the occasion. He was ready. And he said he had the smoke. You know, I mean, he roped a dope a little bit, but he had a couple of jabs here and there. Inshallah, I don't know if he's on tonight or not. But mashallah. Okay, yeah, somebody just put the link on from Thursday show, so you can go back and review it there, inshallah. All right, Imam Amin. Excuse me, Imam Naeem. All right.
Yes, sir. Alhamdulillah. What I want to actually begin with, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa afdalu salatu wa tamu taslim ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. ورضي الله تعالى عن سادة التابعين وعلماء العاملين وأئمة الأربعة المجتهدين ومقلديهم إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. And once again, assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Alhamdulillah, my opening comments will be very brief. Well, I shouldn't say that because, you know, every time I say that I'm going to be short, it don't be short. So I just need to just shut up and just make it short. But, you know, when it comes to marriage and other issues, especially things that we like to do, like obviously I think most of us like to be married or like to have a husband or like to have a wife, right? And usually when it comes to things that we actually want to do, there's some desire or some passion or something involved with it. A lot of times we do it, but we don't take care of the formalities. And I think when it comes to marriage, this is one of the things that, you know, alhamdulillah, you know, we're Muslim, most of us, you know, we don't deny that aspect of, you know, desiring the opposite sex. And so we just jump into it. But with things like this, we have to make sure that, yes, we want to do it. Yes, we want to involve with it. Yes, there's pleasure involved with it. But we should make sure that we take care of our formalities first. And because that's where the blessings, the reward, and warding off the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to come from. A lot of times, you know, we're Muslim, but, you know, we say, you know, everybody gets married, you know, Christians, Jews, atheists, everybody gets married. So I think sometimes in our subconscious, we don't think that marriage has rules to it, like other aspects of worship, like salat or other things like that, or fasting. So we just do it, not knowing the rules. And a lot of times we invalidate or undermine what we're doing because we don't adhere to the rules. And this is what I mean by formalities. And so one of the things I want to mention, just a few things in my opening statement. And all of these things have details. And maybe depending on the need, we will get into the details of some of these things. But, you know, in Islam, the only way that people can be together, you know, intimately is through marriage or possession, as they say, or milkali yamin, or right-hand possession, right? That won't apply to any of us. So the only way that we can come together is by means of marriage, or nikah, zawaj. And so in a valid marriage has arcane, it has pillars that must be in place or established for that marriage to be valid. And see, again, a lot of times when we come together, we talking about love, we talking about compatibility, we talking about bills, we talking about all of these things that, you know, rock our boat or, you know, make us attracted to a person and not. And all of these things are important, but we should make sure we get the formalities in place, you know, out of the way first, because none of that other stuff matters if you haven't taken care of the formalities. And so the first thing that's required for a sahih or a valid marriage is the wali, the guardian. In fact, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La nikaha illa bi wali," or "La nikaha illa biduni wali," that there is no marriage without the wali, the guardian. And guardians, there's people who have more right to be the guardian than others. So a Muslim sister, if she has a father who's Muslim, they have to, the one that's getting married, the woman that's getting married, and the guardian have to have the same deen, right? So the sister, the one who has the most right to be the guardian is her Muslim father. And a lot of our sisters don't have a father who's Muslim. And so that will go to the next eligible person in their family. It may be the uncle. It may be the grandfather, meaning the sister's uncle or the sister's grandfather. And then so it goes to people in the family. And then if there's no one on the father's side, then it goes to the mother's side. And then if she has adult children, but this is conditioned on if they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like some people have their 12-year-old child, you know, with her wali. Like, no, that don't count, man. That's your son and all that kind of stuff. But for many of us, a lot of sisters don't have that male Muslim adult responsible in their family. And so the responsibility then shifts to the leadership, meaning the governor or the ruler, or in our case, the Imam. And so, and I'll bring up the statement later, but Umar ibn al-Khattab and even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to have said that I am the wali of the one who has no wali, meaning that is the function of the government. So in other words, if the family doesn't have someone that can do the job, then it is the responsibility of the leadership to do the job. One of the things that we see that makes a lot of these marriage situations go haywire is because in the absence of someone in the family, the sister is picking someone, or even the potential husband is even picking someone. But there's a protocol, there's a tabakat, there's a checkbox of who should be the wali. You just don't skip past all these people and choose who you want to choose. And so that's one of the problems with that we have to make sure that we have right with regards to who's going to be the wali. The second thing that must be in place is the mahr, or the dowry, or sometimes it's called sadaqah, the same word that's used for charity, right? The charity or the dowry has to be established. Now, I don't know about the Shafi school, but in the Maliki school, the dowry has a minimum of a quarter of a dinar. And I think that comes to about $40 now. I'm not sure. But a quarter in the Maliki school, the minimum dowry is a quarter of a dinar. A dinar is a gold coin. It has a specific weight that I don't remember off the top of my head. And when you convert it to a dollar value, I believe it comes to about $40 or maybe even a little less. I'm not sure. And the dowry has no maximum limit. I'll read a paragraph from the Izziya, which is a kind of like a basic handbook or a basic text in Maliki Fiqh. And I'm only reading this because everybody was talking about dowry and everybody's up in arms, right? The brothers who don't want to pay $5,000. They say Farouk won, right? What'd he say? I don't know what he said, but Farouk won, right? The sisters say, no, Imam Amin won, right? What'd he say? I don't know, but he won, right? But anyway, it says, dowry. The marriage contract is not valid without it. It is a minimum of a quarter of a dinar or 3 of gold, because the dinar is a gold coin, a dirham is silver, or gold, a dinar of gold, or 3 dirhams of silver. 3 dirhams, a dirham is about, it's been a while since I checked, but last time I checked, it was about like $6, right? So 3 of those. Or an amount of money that is equivalent to any of the 2. It is an obligation due to Allah and to the woman. The obligation towards Allah is 3 dirhams, and anything above that is the right of the woman. Even if she agrees with dispensing the whole dowry, marriage contract based on such agreement is not valid. She may forego anything above a quarter of a dinar, and the dowry has no maximum limit. Another pillar that must be in place is the witnesses. And all of these things, again, they have details. So you need at least 2 just male witnesses to witness a wedding. But like I said, these things get into details. Like if you get into the minutia of the details, and you'll see rulings like, sometimes some of the scholars say that the walima, the wedding party, can substitute for the witness. In other words, because the whole point of the witness is that it be public knowledge that you got married, and it becomes well known that these 2 people are married. So like I said, there's details to it. But generally speaking, you need 2 just male witnesses to witness the marriage. So like when we do marriages at our masjid, even if there's 100 people there, we usually give a certificate, and we usually have two people to be the official witnesses, even though a whole bunch of people witness it. So if anything happens, the masjid has a copy of at least, who performed the wedding, obviously the husband and wife, and 2 witnesses. And number 4, legally qualified spouses. This is the woman who should be free from legal inhibitions, which render her forbidden in marriage, and the man. So in other words, like I keep mentioning, I keep running across situations where sisters come to me in order to get married, and they're still married to their last husband. So this would take her out of the running for being married. So she's not legally qualified to be married. She's still married to her last husband. She has to dissolve that union first before she moves on, Islamically. And a lot of times when this situation comes up, though, like for example, when I realize that this woman is still married to her previous husband, the knee-jerk reaction is like, we didn't get married legally. I'm not talking about legally. I'm talking about Islamically. You didn't get divorced Islamically. And so, and we have to talk about that too. I think a lot of our conversation today should focus on divorce, because what I'm seeing, a lot of people don't know how to end their marriages properly, which sets the subsequent marriages up for failure. So legally qualified. So, and in the case of a man, he, obviously he shouldn't have 4 wives already, right? You're going to marry someone, you shouldn't have 4 wives. And this should be important to men as well, because a lot of brothers are still married to sisters they don't think they're married to. because it seems like we just blank out when it comes to divorce. You just think you can divorce yourself any way you want to. Just like I always bring it back to like salat. Like there's a specific way to end salat. The taslim, or the saying the salams, is what gives you the khuruj min as-salat, or to leave out of the salat. That's the only way you getting out of salat. So if you're in a sitting position, you do the tashahhud and the prayer upon the prophet, and you stand up and you walk away, you still in salat, and you're doing actions that's not prohibited in salat. So you invalidated your salat. So you got to do it again. You should say assalamu alaikum, and then you're technically out of salat. Likewise in marriage. When you're married to someone, there's specific ways to get out of the marriage. You don't just move out the house and just say, I'm done. No, you got to do certain things for that marriage to end. And so this point right here, legally qualified spouses. In the case of the man, there are conditions for validity and conditions for his confirmation. The conditions for his validity are Islam, discretion, consciousness or sanity, and manliness. For a hermaphrodite shall not marry and shall not be married. And so I'm going to leave that off for my introductory remarks. And like I say, when we get married, we should make sure that we get all of these technicalities out of the way first, and then deal with all of the other stuff later. Because I find that people be entertaining marriage with each other, but when you get into the issue, they shouldn't even be talking to each other in the first place, because a lot of these things ain't even in place.
Okay, alhamdulillah. We got a couple questions on here, Imam Naeem. I don't know if you want to entertain them or. There's one I would like to address real quick.
Okay, yeah, we can take questions.
It says, how can Imams help establish these cultural marriage goals, formalities, prospective partners, reason to not have children, relocate, divorce, and marrying outside your community? Yeah, this is a very excellent question. And this is one of the things that we're attempting to do when we offer the service, or we offer the service to, help sisters who do not have wakils or any naibs, any deputies to represent them, that we will help on their behalf. And it's about just really screening people. And the formalities, as Imam Naeem said, is very important, starting off right from the beginning. Like for sisters, brothers, if you have no intention on marrying a sister, don't approach her because, your ego is, make you feel like you want to see if you could, you bag her and stuff like that. If you're not really intending on marrying her, or in the back of your mind, it's just you want to see if you could try to, get her attention or see if you know what I mean, then don't do it. And sisters, if brothers are showing, they're not showing any kind of signs or any indications that they want to marry you, then don't entertain them. Don't, give them conversations. Don't entertain them in the least. You know what I mean? And because it needs to start off right. Sometimes, Shaitan manipulates us a lot of times, and we got to avoid that. So one of the things that we do is have these interviews, so we can find out who's compatible, who's suitable for each other, who lines up, who has the same likes, the interests and all that kind of stuff, and we try to match people up, and meet with always meet with a third party available. Even if you don't have someone who's assigned as your wali or wakil immediately, always try to meet with a third party, inshallah. So that way we avoid a lot of the fitting that we see in these marriage arrangements. Assalamu alaikum, Imam.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum, Otis.
You got your late fee, man?
I'm sorry, I was with the governor of New Jersey. I think I get a pass.
Nah, the governor don't get no pass.
I was putting some things down.
Yeah, but we were just discussing we was actually entertaining a question. Yeah. So the best way is to always have a third party available so we can help people to facilitate these matters. So we can bring up these questions, because in my experience, I always bring up these questions, like, especially if I get a situation where people are already talking, and then they'll call me out the blue. I want to get married. Oh, no, let's meet up first. Okay. And then we discuss all of these things. How did you guys meet? Who's your wakil? Did you guys meet each other's, baby's mothers or baby's fathers? Yeah, I know your parents are kufar, you know what I mean? But did you talk to this sister's mother and father, and vice versa? Did you meet this brother's mother and father, his family? What high school did he go to? Do you know any of his friends? Do you know any of her friends? Try to find out outside of talking to her. If they said something, about, okay, or stuff like, oh, what happened to your old wakil? Oh, he ain't really practicing right now. No, go find out who that old wakil is and find out what happened. Don't just take each other's word for it, because you're all googly-eyed with each other. And then next thing you know, all of this stuff comes up, and then you expecting people like us to just come and fix it. When we weren't even on the radar when the time came to help you to do the thing right. You know what I mean? And that's that's disrespectful to us as imams, who put our time and effort on the line to try to help people do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? So these are some of the ways that we can do. Make sure you meet with somebody and they'll help you to discuss these things. We can kind of offset a lot of the stuff, inshallah. Okay. Yeah, that was it for that. You had anything on that question, Imam Naeem?
I was actually looking at another comment our brother Abdul made, and I think it's really key. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, he said, I believe the reason why dowries are being argued about is because the family members aren't helping with the dowry. If this was so, your family could help with not just dowry, but marriage in the whole. And this is the point I be trying to drive home, like not even just the dowry, like you said, the whole issue of marriage in general, because it's a family affair. When you see any other Muslim society, it's a family issue. But a lot of us, we don't have Muslim families, so we completely X out our families out of the equation when we talk about getting married. And so, it's not happening naturally, and you believe me, when you have family support in your marriage not only lasts longer, but it's a better situation. You have support. And so, a lot of times, the masjid or the community, the imam and the believers, we are actually filling in the role of the family. We are by necessity substitutes for the family for a lot of us. But like Imam Faheem said, but like a lot of us, we have family, they're not Muslim. But that doesn't mean they should be X'd out of the process and just ignored and treated as if they don't exist. We should, especially if we're on good terms with our family, we should, they should know who we're marrying, and we can learn a lot about who we are marrying based upon meeting the family. I think we doing, like a lot of us, we doing this thing backwards. Even my wife, Samira, I met her father before he died. We didn't know it, but he was on his deathbed. I went to meet him while he was in the hospital, and he gave his stamp of approval. He wasn't a wali, he was a Muslim, but he gave me a stamp of approval. And, he ended up dying there in the hospital that time. But, I'm just saying that to show how, even in that situation, I had the blessing of the father, and he wasn't even Muslim. It's good to get the families involved, because normally the families are automatically involved. The wali is normally the father, the uncle, the grandfather, or somebody like that. It's just our situation is not normal. We think it's normal. We have to remember that our situation in a lot of ways is not normal. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, and also we should, on top of that, we should make it a habit that, our non-Muslim family members and friends are knowing who our potential spouse is. And, I always try to make it I don't make it a condition, but like, listen, have you told your family about you getting married? No, man, you mean to tell me you haven't talked to your mom about a big step in your life? This is a big step. I mean, to non-Muslims, this is a big step because, marriage to them is the be all and end all. And that's how we supposed to approach it too. Of course, divorce is allowable, but, this is a big step in your life. You're marrying somebody, I've seen people, get married and they never met each other's parents or siblings or anything like that. And I'm like, well, that was a problem right there, because, her mom could have told you how she was, or you could have got a glimpse of how she would be by seeing her mom, you know what I mean? Or seeing how her mom act with her dad or any of that kind of stuff. You observe things, you know what I'm saying? And, and I always try to listen, bring your mom and dad. And now when couples get married, I tell them, listen, bring your mom and dad. And even if you have a wali that's been appointed as a Muslim, if your father's there, excuse me, sir, have you approved of this marriage? And the father be like, yeah, or the mother be like, yeah. So, and that's important, because you make them feel involved, because a lot of them don't know what's going on, and they just thinking like, okay, you bringing this person in the house that you say you married, and, I never even met him. And now I'm supposed to, this is going to be the potential father or mother of my grandchildren. Like all that stuff is important, and so we need to get back to just family, you know what I mean? Inshallah.
You see another question you wanted me to answer? I know I saw a couple. I'm looking for them now.
Farouk put one up about the discussion about the khula if time permits.
Yeah, I believe that's an important thing we need to discuss tonight. I don't know if I want to do it right now, but I want to do it tonight, though, inshallah. Okay. Imam Amin, you got anything you want to open with?
I think one of the things, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. I'm just from looking, I'm coming late, so I really didn't follow all of what you said, but I heard some of it. And basically what I thought you were mentioning were the Arcane of Marriage, am I right? And
yeah, that's right, yeah.
So what I would like to say this, if we're talking about marriage or any act of worship, any religious thing, we should take into consideration, and I notice this is missed a lot, for these acts of worship like marriage, we have conditions, we have requisites, and we have invalidators. And I think we need to get in that habit when we have discussions about religious rulings. Prior to talking about what is recommended, what is better, what is culturally accepted, what do we have to do and what do we have to avoid, right? And I think that becomes a important aspect. So I was thinking, I don't know all of what you mentioned, so I don't want to duplicate, but I know that's in the Maliki school. In the Shafi'i school, for instance, if we talk about the conditions or the integrals, those obligatory parts that the marriage itself, right, must meet, basically three things. You have an explicit expression, right? You have witnesses, two witnesses, and you have the wali, the guardian. And each of those categories, there are rules related to them. Rules related to how the marriage expression is pronounced. Was it explicit? Was it indicated? Right? So that's important. Because I've heard sometimes where you have people getting married and they don't know what occurred. Multiple times, you would see a brother and a sister, they got married, and the first thing I ask when I'm confronted with the issue of divorce, whether it is the woman seeking a separation or a man divorced, the first thing I've noticed to do is to ask, was the marriage valid in the first place? Because what I've known is that people don't learn the rules of marriage, and they're married and are not really married. In their mind, they're married. Islamically, according to the rules of the religion, their marriage is invalid, the way they performed it, right? So I'll give an example of several cases. People getting married by people who don't know the rules of marriage. So when they do the marriage, they do it wrong. They don't have an expression. They don't know who's involved. They don't know who's the witnesses. None of this, which is invalid. So oftentimes you would ask, especially when it's the hookup type of marriage, the brother convinced the sister, and the sister went along with it. Don't worry, we don't need the Imams. We don't need to go to the Masjid. We all sheikhs. We all Imams. Me and my homie going to hook it up. Right? And then you find that the one who did the marriage contract was the maintenance man who never learned the rules. Like, we just was, we get married, he could do it. Go on, sheikh, hook it up. La ilaha illallah. So I think this is one thing that we should be concerned about. Secondly, who has the right to be the wali, right? And what are the rules related to the wali? It is not just so simple as, let me get somebody who don't know the rules of being a guardian to be the guardian. He may not even qualify, because the guardian is supposed to look for the interests of the woman. If he doesn't know the rules of the religion, he doesn't know what is related, he's not suitable to fulfill that responsibility of guardian, because he's what? Foolish. He doesn't know. He cannot do it. And then one of the things that I heard Imam Faheem mention when we're talking about the men and the women who are going to get married, that they are compatible, right? That is important. We forget that part. That there is a such thing as called al-kafa'a, suitability between the spouses. So I was having a talk with some women, and a woman asked a valid question that I wish we could answer. Last week, we were talking about the dowry thing, and they said the women are not, suitable for such a dowry. And one of the sisters asked a legitimate question. So that you say that the woman is not suitable, what about those women who are over suitable for you, right? In other words, that woman has built herself up to a state that she's out of the market of most of the men. We're talking about the women not meeting the standards of men. How about that woman who is out of the status of most of the men? So she's a doctor, she's a professional, she's educated, and you give her to someone who cannot earn even a third of her earnings. Are they compatible? Right? Are there, she comes from a noble family and he comes from a lowly family. She's obedient and he's fasiq. They're not compatible, right? So I think one of the things we should take into consideration too, and I think we missed this, that Islamic rules are not to be performed by common people, right? There should be involved some people with education and authority. I'll tell you a story about this. One of my teachers in Lebanon, he's a judge, right? I never forget this incident. So I used to go into the court and sit in and listen to his cases, right? So one day, now in Lebanon, the judges are for like marriages and stuff. They have like the regular law for crimes and punishment, but family stuff, it go through like Islamic judges, right? So it's a little split up. So it's like a real court. So I'm in this courtroom and I would go and just watch, right? Just listen to the cases. So one time there was a man, he came and the judge, even though I say he's my teacher, he's a judge. So I say sheikh, but I mean the judge said, not just sheikh, he's a judge, a real judge. And he brought this man and the woman in the court and he just smacked him with everything, child support, go pick up the kid, go take out the dog, everything you can imagine. He smacked like he was worse than the court here, right? And I'm sitting there for a minute and forgot where I was at, forgot that I was in a real courtroom, forgot that this is not do-it-yourself masjid business. I forgot all of that. And I'm looking at the guy. I'm like, ain't nobody doing all that, right? That's what I thought to myself. So later that night when we got home, I said to the sheikh, who is the judge, right? He's a judge. I said, Sayyidi, what if he don't listen to you? Which is our case, right? Because we tell somebody, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and no one never listens to us, right? He said, no problem. I'm going to call the police and put him in jail. I said, whoa. Don't get panicked. Let's just erase that. Take that out. Just block that person. Don't get, okay. Barakallahu biki. Take the other one out too. Block all of them. This one too. Okay. Barakallahu biki. Right. So he said, no problem. I'll call the police and put him in jail. And for real, I'm sitting there in his living room like, oh, okay, just block. All you can do is block all this stuff, right? It's all YouTube stuff. Just block it. For you on YouTube, I apologize for all of the nonsense that's coming through on you, but all we can do is when we see it, we'll just block it. Don't worry about all that stuff.
Man, they sent them balls at us, didn't they?
I mean, it's life. You know what I'm saying? It's part of the business. But we can't control them. They're going to come through. So if there's a group of them doing it, it's just going to happen. Nothing we can do. We just block them as they come. We have someone doing it, so don't worry. But don't get frustrated. Act like it doesn't even exist. It's not the first time we've been called niggers. It probably won't be the last. Trust me, whether they say it loud or silent. They still saying it. I'd rather you say it than hide it and do what you do. So no problem. Right? And there's a group of them, so nothing you can do. Okay. MashaAllah. So just stay on it and just keep blocking them until they run out of gas. But I don't know. We only 13% of the population. I don't know how they're going to run out of gas. But anyway, right. So he said that. And what I realize is that he has authority. So he can do that, right? He has authority, so he can actually enforce the rules. Keeping that in mind, sisters, when you get married, remember that you're dealing with a situation where there's no enforcement of the rules. So if the person decides that, listen, I'm not going to obey, there's nothing we can do, right? So you need to protect yourself by not putting yourself in such a situation that is probable, right? Hence, you need a knowledgeable wali, and you need to make sure you have some compatibility. This is just some points I wanted to highlight. I'm sorry we're getting bombed out over here with the nigger stuff, and so they're like at it. It's like a whole group of them. They add, but I don't know. That might be one person who's just a good hacker and can do all that stuff. That might not even be. YouTube is hacked. Yeah, that's what it might be. Tell you, go ahead. So that's my point. I'm sorry, we're getting bombed over here. We're working, but they're coming in full force. Go ahead. La ilaha illallah. So it's going to be hard to follow your questions because we're getting bombarded back here. Go ahead, Imam Naeem, you got to take over. I got to help.
All right, alhamdulillah. So you were talking about compatibility. And that's one of the things I've been trying to really, and I guess in one respect, talk about a lot. I'm going into the private chat to look at some of these questions. Man, Faheem,
hey, can we cut off the YouTube channel? Sorry, whoever got to come over to Facebook. We're getting ready to shut YouTube down.
Yeah, you could turn off the comments in YouTube, right?
I don't know. I mean, hold on.
You can.
They're bombing us out.
I know you're busy blocking, so you don't need to put the comment up there. But Sophia asked, is it important to meet children and ex-spouses? You caught that question?
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna be out because I gotta stop all this stuff. How do we shut off YouTube?
Yeah, it's very important to meet spouses, and children, to see what kind of